So I don't think the E100 did near as good.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so talking about ranked, we got Noodle and Blade here. It's gonna
Did you
be
start?
hopefully, yeah, it's up and going. We're good to go. You know, this is just like an experiment, really. This is something that we're gonna be working on for little debate talks and teaming up with Noodleton. A couple other things. Just if there's time to do it, that is. It's not gonna be like every single week we do it. I don't see a point in doing it every single week. That would just be killer.
Right,
So
right.
we're gonna go until we're out of matches on the replays, and there's quite a few of them.
You said you had what, 14 of them or something like that?
Maybe 14. I think it's like 10 or 9. We could go 14. I got a
Okay.
couple that haven't been shown off yet, but they're a little bit older.
Where did it go?
Where do I go?
I was looking for my lighter. I'm
Oh,
gonna. I
alrighty.
got to take
So,
care of my. I got to take care of my pain situation here.
horrible. Love it.
Oh,
Yeah, bit rate's kind of iffy now. All right, but going over it, originally before we started the stream, we were talking about some tanks inside ranked. You have some tanks that are just up there inside the standings.
and Noodleton, I gotta say this. I watched you stream the other day for about an hour and a half, and I really enjoyed it. You put good content on. I enjoyed it
Thank you, I
a
appreciate
lot.
it.
And bitrate's dying. Bitrate died.
Yep, I see it. We're lagged out.
Yep. See, this is how it's going today for me.
This happened to you last Saturday too.
Yeah.
What is it about Saturdays?
I don't know what it is about Saturdays.
All right,
We,
it's
we
back
could
up.
we could also start recording too. So I'm also gonna start recording as well, and then that way we can just continue on. And if the stream dies, we'll upload this. So there is that. So going over the ranked
That's your cousin.
and everything else, the matches being 15 on 15. Rather than that, I would rather see, well, rather than 7 on 7, I'd rather see 15 on 15.
Yeah, so
Well,
here's my opinion. I know they talked about this. On the World of Tanks console, staff has talked about this, and they're looking at those options. So I've got two opinions on the 15, V15 thing.
Yeah.
And then so I guess their thing that they were looking at was playing ranked out in your typical public lobbies, and then the games count towards your rank, progression and all that. So my only issue with that is when you typically play ranked, your 7v7 ranked. I guess occasionally you would have a couple of teammates in there that were just randomly playing and didn't really care what happened, and they just wanted the silver or whatever. But if you're in a public lobby, there's a lot of people that are just casually playing. Either with their friends or they're not. They're on passing time. They don't really care how the game plays out. They're just there to shoot. It can negatively impact your ability to have a good match substantially. So I feel like if you're going to be playing towards ranked progression in a public lobby, and they lock it so you couldn't be in a platoon, which I don't know if they could even do that, it's going to cause a lot of the people that are in there for the rank portion of it to be really selfish. So they're going to be going for a lot of damage. It's going to be hard to get the W, you know what I mean? And you need the W to progress. So I don't know how they would really do that. I don't think it would work out very well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they did a 15v15 ranked, I think it needs to be a standalone lobby, not just you load up in a public
Yeah, like
game.
a whole different tab to select. Like
Right,
whenever
right.
you're
It
looking
needs
at
to
the
be a whole
menu, you
nother thing.
physically select ranked gameplay, and you're gonna
Yep.
go play ranked. You're not
Now here's the
in the public queue.
yeah, I
Right.
agree. I think it needs to be outside of the public lobby. But even then it brings in another issue. Are they going to allow tunes? I've always been a supporter of allowing tunes in ranked. You know, you can already queue. People do that. They try to queue on each other. If you're in the same class, it'll work sometimes.
Yeah, and
But
then
I
whenever
think-
people do queue together, there's moments that it's like, oh, we're on the enemy team, but let's just help this guy boost. Let's go give him all the damage and
Right.
sacrifice ourselves.
Right.
Which, you know, would work against the whole platoon, like the whole non-platoon
Right.
matchmaking.
I don't think that's a huge issue. You don't see it a lot in ranked, but you
I've seen it a couple
But
times, but not many.
Yeah, I've seen it
I've
myself.
always been a supporter of ranked allowing tunes, especially now that, you know, World of Tanks console has taken the stance of 3-man platoons. Allow a 3-man platoon in there. That's my opinion, or maybe a 2. You know, keep it simple. Allow a 2.
Well, if they do a 2-man platoon, there's 15 per team. I would rather see a 3-man platoon because that equals up to 15. That way you don't have one random by himself.
Yeah, I just think it's a good thing. You know, I mean, you know, I come from a pro Call of Duty background, so I played COD Pro on a pro team for 3 years. Allowing people to be on a team in ranked or comp or whatever, I don't understand the issue behind it. You know, I think it's time for World of Tanks console to revamp what rank means in the game.
Yeah.
I think it was cool the way they were doing it before. You know, 7v7, no tunes. It was a different game mode. Cool. But I think a lot of people have moved past that. I think we're ready for a redesigned ranked mode. And it's cool to see World of Tanks console ready to do that. I just hope they do it the right way. You know, don't put us in public lobbies.
And another thing that they mentioned on their stream was public lobbies, but selecting 2 nations. You heard them talk about that, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't think that would...
I don't like that idea either.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. Because...
And the reason for that is because some nations only have one tank type.
Yeah, so let's say they select Polish. You're stuck playing only the heavy. Or unless
Right,
they
so-
release the new medium.
Right. So you're going to have an entire team of nothing but heavies. And they're all going to be the
Polish
same
heavy. Yeah.
and they're all going to be the same. Yeah, they can't do that. That wouldn't work. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And I understand what you were saying before about the 7 versus 7 and how it eliminates light tanks completely. There's you know, and I agree with that too. With a 15, at least you could have light tanks running
Yeah,
around.
there's
They'd be
actually
useful.
a competitive
They'd be
nature
useful.
to it. You know, there's
Right.
an actual competitive nature to it. Because the light tanks provide support, they provide spotting, and I find that 15 versus 15 ranked would actually make people a lot more smarter on the situation.
And I'd also like them to, and what you were saying before, I'd like to see them, I guess before we start streaming, but limit the amount of premium you can carry.
Yeah.
I go into ranked battles, everybody is
And
shooting
I'm not
nothing
talking
but
like
premium
5...
rounds.
I'm not talking about like 5 shells per tank. I mean, like, give them enough ammunition to take down a mouse full health. Plus 2 shots.
Sure.
Or maybe plus 1 shot. You know,
Yeah.
so like,
Yeah.
whatever their damage is, give them the equivalent of like 3,500 capable damage to be able to take down a mouse.
Well, the realistic, you know, truth of the matter is, the way we were dealing with rank before was 7v7. There was a small rotation of map you played on for rank.
And
there
Prokhorovka
was
7
like-
versus 7, it's like whoever decides to spot in the middle, game's over.
Yeah, there was like 2, you know, on each map there was like 2 spots that the team goes to, and if your team can control those 2 spots, or even a 1 spot on a lot of those maps,
Yeah.
you won the battle. You know, no matter what the enemy team did, you won the battle if you held those 2 spots. So, in a sense, it was kind of getting boring and lame. I know a lot of people quit playing rank because of that. They played it for silver. You know, you made a ton of silver.
Yep.
So I mean, if they move it up to 15v15, it's going to be very competitive. But you're going to reintroduce a lot of the things in the game that a lot of people like ranked about. You would have light tanks back in the mix. You would have Artie back in the mix. and a lot of people played ranked to get away from those things. So
Yep.
I think you would reintroduce a more competitive version of ranked if you bumped it up to 15v15 versus 7v7.
Yeah.
But I agree, there needs to be other rules. So limit your amount of premium, and maybe even limit what tanks can play in ranked. I don't know. I have mixed opinions on that one. I could care less which way they did it.
Right.
But I would be okay if they limited certain tanks.
Well, I think that the way they should do it, rather than outright limiting the tank, is to keep track of the win rates during one season. So to look over like what tanks were overperforming in ranked, and which ones are we going to ban for next season. So they have a shuffle on that system.
What about doing a ranked tech tree and a ranked premium?
That would take too long to find matches.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I think that would just create a matchmaking problem. I think what they really just need to do is set it up like they do publics, 15v15, no limit on what tanks or whatever. Allow
until the next season. If there's one tank that's got like a 55% win rate and it's consistently getting that, to then put a penalty ban on that tank temporarily.
Well,
until they find out why.
The first season just needs to be put it out there. Don't put it in public. Do a standalone game mode. 15v15, 3-man tunes. You play it like you do a normal public lobby, but this is ranked. You're working towards progression. Blah blah blah. Bring back all those same rules. Play it out. See how it works. See what doesn't. Like you said, what tanks are gonna be a little bit crazy, because a lot of people are going to spam certain tanks. They always do. And then
you can always tell which tanks are the most powerful tanks in the game at the time, because that's what everybody's.
And then after that, you could just go back to the drawing board and see what didn't work. But I think it'll work, man. I think 15v15, 3-man tunes in there. Maybe limit the amount of premium, because I agree, premium spammed in ranked.
And it's spammed hard.
I'm guilty of it. That's all I do when I play ranked. I load nothing but premium. That's it. I take all the other shells out of my tanks. So I'm guilty of the same.
To do it. Well, if you don't do it, you're not competitive.
Well, I mean, I've went up against a lot of people in ranked that have played me and killed me or whatever, and they didn't shoot premium. There's people that don't do it. I think it's situational based, but
a lot of the time, depending on the premium round fired, like APCR, for instance, if it's APCR, it's like the only shell you see flying through the field. But if it's heat rounds, you'll see people load more standards than heat rounds occasionally inside ranked. Or they'll load like 10 standards, which is AP, just because it can go through cover, it can overmatch.
There's also another effect that we've dealt with in 7v7 too. You would get a lot of matches where there were, 2 or 3 E4s.
And that's because in the 7 versus 7 scenario, an E4 is a good choice because of the reload and the penetration.
So the thing that you had to do, you're not going to want to sit there in front of any 3 E4s, more than a couple of seconds. So you're gonna spam premium. You're gonna pin them. You're not going to waste time having to try to get the best shot. You're going to load a premium and you're going to pin them. So I think 7v7 is what led to needing premium round.
Because it was all
at the end of the day, you had to get the dub.
Taking them down quick.
Yeah, you had to get the dub.
If you weren't taking them down quick, you weren't competitive.
Yeah, they got a big gun, man. Nobody wants to get shot by them. So there was a lot of those tanks in there. And then you would run into super conks that would be hauled down. What are you going to do? You know what I mean? You got to look.
And since it's 7 versus 7, and a super conk's hauled down, and let's say, since it's not 15 versus 15 and there's no variety inside the matchmaking, you have to deal with it. High explosives or run away.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I mean, and that's another factor too. 7v7, 9 times out of 10, 6 of the 7 people are sitting there together looking at the other 6. So you have nobody to flank, nobody to, you know what I mean? So you had to spam premium. So I think 15v15 will get you away from a lot of the premium, just as a natural side effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But
when it
I'm
comes
also
to premium,
guilty.
the only time I use premium is if I bounce off of somebody 3 times. If I bounce off somebody 3 times, then I load premium.
Well, I'm
And
guilty of shooting a lot of premium. Everybody calls me AA for a reason. But
I
you know,
can't
for
afford it.
me, well, I technically can't either, but I do it. But for me, it's not necessarily that I'm just shooting premium. I play a lot of tanks that shoot heat. I like to shoot heat. Um, so that's where I'm at on that. If I got a tank that shoots APCR as a premium, yeah, sometimes I'll shoot it, but a lot of times I'll just shoot standard. So
Right.
Dude, if I
heat
have
is my
APCR,
downfall.
I love heat. Heat rounds for me work out really well because you've seen my gameplay. Whenever I'm aiming at targets, I take it slow. And if I'm loading heat, I take it slow enough to line up where I know my heat round's going to go through consistently.
And I admit I have taken my chieftain out with nothing but hash.
We do that for fun, though.
Yep, it was a lot of fun too.
So yeah, I think 15v15, standalone game mode, not in a public lobby. I know they were talking about that. I don't think that'll work. But yeah, 15v15,
Yeah, I don't think
standalone ranked lobby, allow tunes. I think if you got 15 people, you need a tune.
Yeah, platoon up, Because, honestly, no, I think for the first one, there should be no platoon matchmaking just to give it a test run, and then to introduce platoon. So, like, 2 types of ranked. Okay, 2 types of ranked. So, like, one ranked pops up that it's solo ranked. There is no platoon during this ranked match. But then, like, the next 2 weeks go by, and then the next one pops up, and it's like, okay, platoon's allowed.
Yeah, but we already know without testing it how that's going to work, just based off how public lobbies work.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about it. Like, the way the public lobbies worked, and then the way the ranked gameplay works, ranked gameplay should be more oriented towards, like, if you're a platinum rated player, you should be getting matched with gold, platinum, and master.
Well, and here's another opinion that I've had for a while. Our previous rank setup was you progressed with a win
Every single time.
no matter how
And
bad or
if
good
you were,
you did.
what was it, the top 3, you would not lose any points?
Right. So, well, I think it was, I don't remember that exactly, but I know if you were top, you wouldn't lose points on a loss.
Yeah, I think it was top 3. I can't remember.
But you would, regardless of whether you had 0 damage or you had the most damage, if your team won, you progressed a little.
Yeah.
I honestly think rank
Right.
should be based on personal results. You know what I mean?
Well,
If they're
Right.
not going to allow tunes, if there's not going to be any tunes in ranked, you need to be making progression based on your personal game, not your team's win or loss. You should get a boost for a win, obviously.
Like, let's say if you did more damage than what your health is, that's going to give a positive effect and cause you to go higher up in the rating.
Yeah, man. I mean,
Well-
there was a ton of times where in ranked, I'm sure you were on the receiving end of this too.
I did 7,000 damage and I lost.
Yeah, you would do 7, between 5 and 7 and 10,000 damage, lose, and make no progression. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you would have that match 2-3 times in a row. There was a lot of ranked where I would get stuck in one class for like a half a day, but I'm over here averaging 4,000 or 5,000 damage, and 2-3 kills, but my team is just getting obliterated, and I would make no progression. It needs to be
But
more
the
based
question
on
is,
personal
what was your
stats.
team playing during that time too? Because the OE4 is not a brawler. That's just a hard-hitting, decent armor tank. And you would see it in ranked a lot, but the thing is that, in my opinion, for ranked, I don't find the OE4 to be a good performer. In 7 versus 7, the OE4 is a great performer. But in 15 versus 15, it's going to make people really think about it, because the concealment rating on the OE4, it's not high enough to protect it against a light tank coming around a corner, or a medium tank that's got really good concealment and amazing spotting.
E4 serves a purpose in any size battle, but in 7v7 it was kind of, I don't want to say it was broken or OP, What?
Well, it
A
was
bad player
a
could even do
very
good in
powerful. Yeah, it was a very
Yes.
powerful tank. Honestly, in my opinion, my personal opinion, the T11 OE4 is easy mode on World of Tanks.
Pretty easy. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Well,
Yeah, because
I'm
its
just gonna
premium
throw this out
rounds
there
travel at what,
because
1375, and then it has 375 pin. So it's APCR with high pin.
I'm just going to throw this out there because I've said this before to Haven. I liked the matchmaking and
For
the
7
ranked
versus
battles
7.
because, well, I mean, it wouldn't matter even if it was 15 versus 15. I felt like when I was playing ranked battles that I was playing against people my own skill level. You know, I wasn't playing against super unicoms.
And that's why I mentioned
That's
having.
I mean, that's the way it felt to me.
Yeah.
I felt like I had. I mean, because it was 7 versus 7, yes, but I went in there and I felt like I had a lot better games. I felt like I was playing against people that were more my skill level because I was having. I mean, I was in the top 3 most of the time. You know.
Yeah.
And I'm not that good of a player. I'm,
But that's why I mentioned
admit it.
doing the lineup for the rankings. So rather than, you're a silver rank and it puts you up against a grandmaster, it's gonna put you in matches with more silver ranks.
Right.
Yeah, I think that should happen. This is where things get weird. Okay, so
There's not enough players to really do that matchmaking well.
yeah,
But
and
I
here's
find-
the other thing, man. A lot of games have already had this issue where you got players that are just I don't call them bad players, I just call them casual players that want to play competitive, but they're not very good at it. So
Yeah, good choice of words.
yeah, so other games, what they ended up doing was basically, because what would happen is these players would load in, they try to play, they don't do good, and then they complain and they say that this needs to change, that needs to change, and they could be right from their point of view, but some of those things that were changing would hinder, the good players.
All right.
So that's where you run into a weird situation, because how can you say, a bad player can't play ranked with a good player, and that it should be locked to good players only? You know what I mean? So no matter
Right.
what they do, it's going to affect one version of player or the other. You know what I mean?
Well-
They're never going to be able to make both happy. So that's why I don't think, even if they had the player base to set it up to where silvers play with silvers, masters play with masters, I
Well,
don't
no,
think it'd
like
work.
within a three rating category. So like if you're a platinum, you can play with, you go down the gold, you go down the silver, you can play with them. That way it gives more of a variety. But you see, if people
Didn't they already
complain
do
about
that?
it, no, our ranked battles, you could be put against a player that wasn't even ranked yet. You could be a grandmaster, senior master, or even the master league, and verse a bronze.
Right, yeah. But is there even a player base big enough on rank to support doing it a different way?
Yeah, I don't
That's
know.
why you want to try it.
I mean,
give it
I
a
would
test
be-
run, see how it goes.
I'd be interested to see what Wargaming said, or World of Tanks console says on how many people actually compete in ranked.
Well,
Because I don't know if it's a small number or not.
No, like it is it is a small number, and the reason why it's a small number is because ranked was never there. Whenever ranked popped up, it was always 7 versus 7 for a weekend. Okay,
And you couldn't play with your friends.
yeah, and you couldn't
I
play
get
with your
it.
friends. And so why would you play ranked? Well, a lot of people that did play ranked, and this will surprise you, a lot of free-to-play players play ranked. A lot
Yeah.
of free-to-play players played ranked. And the reason why is because they could have got crates, they could have got key cards out of it. It gets them the gold that they wanted. One ranked session could be equivalent to 40,000 gold for a free-to-play player if they were to hit top of the boards. You know,
Made a ton of silver too.
yeah, and made a ton of silver too. Like there was actually a lot of people who play ranked. But the
Well, I
second
think the
that
number
you
would drastically increase if they increase the lobbies to 15 and then allow tunes.
yeah, and another thing that I was actually talking to Blade about the last time we talked about this subject was introducing rather than, you know, your tier and your level inside the ranked gameplay. So rather than, oh, congratulations, you're a grandmaster, here's all your rewards, you're the only one allowed to get this, make it to where it's like, if you reach grandmaster, it's like you receive an emblem, a camo, some other small things, but no rewards. Maybe like 2 key cards. Okay, maybe like 2 key cards, but hold on and hear me out, because I know that's going to really limit, you know, what I'm saying, because right there it's like, then why would you play? The reason why is because of mercenary contracts. Mercenary contracts, the way that they're set up, there's challenges that you need to complete. And I think ranked gameplay needs to include ops. Its own personal ops. Okay, so like one for dealing a certain amount of damage in so many games, or one for assisting with track assist so many games, or assisting with assist damage so many games, or blocking so much damage, you know, or setting an enemy on fire, or getting an ammo rack. And the reason why I said it is because it would make people log in, and then it would make them think, okay, what can I pull out to achieve that damage, or what can I pull out to achieve that spot assist? You know, and then in return, each one of those that you complete, it's worth like a key card, or it's worth like so much gold or so much silver.
Some of them are really hard to get.
Yeah. Well, that's why you want multiple, you know? So it's like, even if you're not super good at the game, you still have a chance to complete one of them.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree. I think they should introduce things like that. It shouldn't be just...
Congratulations,
But I mean-
you're Grandmaster. Here's everything that we give them.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, because there was a lot of people that could make it to Grandmaster if they played the whole weekend, and they never did good, you know? Like I said, wins carried you to Grandmaster.
And teaming up with the
Right.
good players would carry you.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you played, you know, some people logging on last minute and they're really good players. That's kind of how it went. But the way
Well-
that the ranked gameplay is set up with the 7 versus 7, it's just really hard to, you know, look at the reward system in the right way. I mean, don't get me wrong, the silver bonus was awesome. And that was another thing that they talked about on one of the World of Tank stream, is that, you know, they add separate game modes, and then with the separate game mode, there's this difference in silver that it almost feels like they're forcing people to play that game mode. They're not forcing you to play it, they're just rewarding you for jumping in and trying it, you know?
Well, I've always been a big fan of, you know, rewards for better players to achieve that even the bad players can't get or whatever. But
Which is emblems
I've always been
and
a fan of that. Yeah,
special
emblems,
camos.
camos.
Yeah.
You know, one thing the game does right now to reward good players is marks. Thankfully, we've never had the game ever think that they need to revamp how you get a mark just so a bad player could get a mark, you know?
They made
but
it very
I'm a big,
clear. Your damage.
Right,
You
I'm a
need to
big fan
deal
of those
damage.
things. Yeah, I'm a big fan of those. And another thing it does, man,
And also,
is
assist
it
helps you
forces-
mark too.
Yeah. It forces, and again, I don't want to call them bad players, but it forces a player that may not be as experienced or whatever, figure out how to do those things. It causes them to be a better player, you know? So
Sure, but just don't make it so hard that I can't accomplish it. I mean, because
Right.
I'm one of them guys. Like I said, I'll admit it. I'm not the best player in the world. I'm average, maybe a little above average at best. You know, but I enjoy the game.
Well,
you know?
that's why they got the marks set up the way they do. They're set up to where, you know, even the casual player could go out and 3-mark a tank if they wanted to. You know, because
You know
once
how
the
many
good
tanks I got
players,
3 marked?
well, once the good players quit playing that tank, over time the requirement for that 3-mark drops. So, you know, I think that's a good setup. Maybe they should incorporate something like that in the rank.
To give you an idea, I have 5 tanks that I have 1 mark on. I don't have any tanks with 2 marks on. Because I'm just not that good of a tank. I'm just not that good of a player, you know. And like I said, I admit it. I love playing the game. I try to play it as best as I can. I keep learning. I've been getting better because Haven's been teaching me, and I've been getting better. But yeah, I don't think I'll ever be as good as him by any means. You know, and I don't.
Well,
even
and that's
kid
fine
myself on
though.
that.
You know, a
Yeah.
lot of people, maybe it's the day and age we live in, but some people don't think that's okay, but that is, there's going to be, look, that's why we have an NFL and an MLB, you got all these pro leagues, there are
Right.
people that are going to be better at things,
Yep.
and the more we try to make things to where there's no difference between somebody that's really good at it and somebody that's not, that's what hurts a game, in my opinion.
Right.
Call of Duty suffered with it
Yeah.
majorly over the years.
The last thing I want them to do is make it to where a good player can't do any more than I can.
Yeah, see, it's
You know,
like
'cause
it's
that's
like
not
Turner
fair.
said.
You know.
Well, it's like Turner said in your chat. There's a lot of people that don't care, man. They're here to play the game, have fun, because at the end of the day,
Yep.
it's a game,
Yeah.
And I think rank should be a reflection of that too, reward the good
Well, no,
players.
that's why I'm saying the challenges
And I
that
just-
anyone can
Yeah.
complete. That way.
And I just recently. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
I'm sorry.
you're good. But the challenges that you can complete, adding those to it, it gives you a goal and it will bring more people in. And maybe if people look at ranked and they see that there's special ops that you can complete to get key cards, to get gold. Maybe even if you complete, like, let's say, so many ops that there's another op that op is the ultimate op that you're trying to complete for ranked. So, like, let's say you have 5 mega challenges, which 5 big ops that require multiple stages, that you complete all 5 of those, and then you complete one of the bigger stages that has multiple rewards in it for that ranked season. So, for instance, each one of those small ones that you complete, it rewards you, like, let's say, $5 in gold, so 850 gold. Okay, for completing each one of those. So each one of those, I mean, this is just an idea. That's a lot of money, honestly, with 5 of those ops, but
Right.
it's an idea. But then rewarding players with the key cards too. It's like, let's say each one of those ops you complete, you get a key card, and then for completing all 5 of the ops, or all 6, 7, 8, however many ops there are, or making it to where there's like 20 different ops that you can do, but you really only need to complete 5 of them over the course of the entire ranked season to get the rewards out of it entirely.
Well, like I told you earlier, I didn't even play ranked until the end of last year because I always thought that I was not good enough to play ranked. And then when I played ranked, like I said, it felt like I was playing against people my own skill level, and I was really surprised at how well I did.
Well,
I
I
really
think
was.
ranked, the way it was set up before, was a really good game mode for lesser experienced players.
And I
It
would agree
slowed
with
the
you on
game down, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have
Yep.
less things to worry about. You only have to focus on a select amount of tanks. And as generally, as long as you followed, one guy that knew what he was doing and you supported him, you two could really do a lot of work. So I think the 7v7 game mode,
was beneficial to me for sure.
I like
The 7 versus 7 game mode, it kind of, for me, for for how the game should be, it made it feel like they're trying to force players to rush and make those matches quick, because those matches were quick. Those matches weren't no 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It was like you logged in and 3 minutes into the match is over.
Yeah.
And
that's
for
why
me,
I have a
I don't
mixed,
like that.
But that's why I have a mixed feeling on the rank thing going to 15v15, because I have real serious doubts that you're going to get 15 guys on a team to work together and pull out, a very good win streak. One guy in a 7v7 could easily change how the game plays. But
Yeah.
in a 15v15, nah. It's
It's going to require
more.
teamwork. It's going to require
Yeah.
teamwork and communication. So like,
Which would
and for me, that would actually help the regular open casual queues too, because it's going to make people think, okay, it's like I play ranked. I know that this is something we want to do. It's going to help make matches take longer. People aren't going to rush out like a whole bunch. Because you see YOLO platoons all the time, and then they rush in, they all die, and all of a sudden their team's at a massive disadvantage because they're already short 4 players.
Yeah, my whole stance on the ranked is, if we're gonna get 15v15, we have to have platoons in ranked,
Yeah.
or change the way that you progress up the board.
Yeah.
Make
but
it less
with
on a
platoon
win.
rating, though, I actually think what would be cool is that we have a single rating system 1 week. Okay, and keep in mind, I don't want ranked battles over the course of a weekend. You know, a weekend of just ranked battles, I'm not a fan of. I would rather see 2 weeks. So 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off for ranked battles. And,
Yeah, I don't like the once a month thing.
Yeah, and then it's only for 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
to
rank
me,
was extremely
that's,
fun.
That's just
It's a game mode that should be around.
yeah, it should be around a
but
lot.
If they're gonna make, if you want them to make the rewards harder to get, then you're gonna have to give people more time to achieve it.
Exactly. And then the
Well-
reason why they should be doing the challenges a little bit harder is because it would make people slow down. You know, and
Well, here's another thing you could reintroduce into ranked play. Previously, rank didn't count towards your personal stats.
have a
so
whole
you could
different
go into
stat sheet
ranked.
for ranked.
Well, no, I think rank should count towards your personal stats. Because I know a lot of people would go into rank and could give 2 shits, whether it went good or bad. They were there to receive silver, and if they got the dubs to progress, they would progress and get free stuff. I think rank should count towards your stats, towards your all your
Maybe
stats.
not your
Yeah,
mark.
they go in.
That's
They don't
Yeah,
care if they
maybe
lose their
not your mark.
They don't have to worry about losing their marks or anything.
Well, I
Yeah.
don't think rank should be an area where
No.
marks are even a concern.
Yeah, marks should be only in public matchmaking.
Yeah, and to address a couple of things to the people in your chat, here's 2 things that you could look at marks on a tank. Okay, this is just something I've learned, my personal opinion. There's 2 ways you could do this. Yeah, there are a lot of people that'll go into a platoon and they'll try to mark their tank, and their 2 tune mates will help them. Their only goal into that game is to give them assisted damage. So you could do it that way, but I've actually found that it's a little simpler to mark a tank when you're playing solo. You don't have to worry about your team. Well, you should, but this isn't how it works when you're marking a tank. You don't have to worry about people in your tune. You just go into the game. Your main goal is to get a ton of damage, try to get assisted. I've actually found it's easier to mark tanks when you're playing solo. I have 3 marked tanks, having teammates in my tune, whether running arty or light tank, whatever was beneficial to that tank that I was playing. Yeah, it works, but there's a lot of occasions where it didn't. It caused issues because your teammate would get in a problem, and then they would expect you to come help them. And, you see what I'm saying, where I'm going with it? So
Yeah.
Yep.
3 marking a
Yep.
tank solo actually is easier. And a lot of the better players like to 3 mark solo.
I could see that.
I've 3 marked a tank recently with 2 mates helping me, and they were in arty. Did it give me a ton of assisted? Sure. But were there a ton of occasions where I was left out to die because I had nobody there to help me because my 2 teammates are in arty? Yeah, ton of positions. So I don't really think it's beneficial to have teammates in arties helping you 3 mark, because you're going to make 5 steps forward in a good match, and then in a match where they can't hit a shot or you have nobody to support you,
5 steps
you're
forward,
taking
2 steps back.
Yeah, I mean, so
There's nothing like coming around the corner and finding the whole team.
does it work? Sure, but I think it's easier to do it alone.
Now, but on that subject, I think that marks should be public casual queues only. And
sure,
ranked
for
gameplay
sure.
should not affect the marks of tank. You know.
Nah.
Like they should show, they should still be on the barrel even in ranked. But jumping back over to the subject of platoons and non-platoon, I think that the way rank should go is that, there should be 2 ranked seasons a month. So what this does is that one season is solo, the next season is platoon. So it's like you can choose to participate in one or the other, or you can participate in both. But I think if you earn the rewards from the first one, the second one should have reduced rewards.
Well, you could always do like, Call of Duty does. You could have a permanent game mode in the game that has ranked rules, and you can go in and play ranked all the time without having to worry about, going up to a Grandmaster and receiving a camo and a emblem. I'm one of those players where I go into rank for the camo and the emblem. It's just like these tournaments. I want the emblem. I like to have display stuff to show off, like 3 marks. I like to show things like that off. I think they're special, and I think if you introduce them 2 times a month, they're going to lose that specialness.
Like making it active for 2 weeks at a time. So the first week is solo. And then the second week is platoon. I mean, really honestly looking at it, that's going to be really hard to balance out. But maybe, let's say if you're platooning, because the way I look at it, if you're platooning up, you should have a ranked platoon. And then your platoon rating should be ranked with other platoons that had the same rating. Or around the same rating. Because if, let's say you're a Grandmaster and you're teaming up with a Silver.
Well, another
Like
thing
you
I'm
matching
curious
up
to
with
know.
me.
Blade.
Well, here's another stat that needs to be looked at that we don't have access to. How many people entered ranked over the last few years and made it to Grandmaster? What's the percentage of players that made it to Grandmaster versus the percentage of players that played? You know what I mean?
Not a lot.
Because that's going to be the telltale.
The 7 versus 7, a lot of people did not like it, and that's kind of what pushed them away from doing it. And there was a comment that popped up. Saint asked, I think the current format, 7 versus 7, allowing 2-man platoons, would be interesting. I don't think it'd be interesting at all because you would leave one person without a platoon.
Yeah.
Because if everyone,
I see where there's an issue.
Yeah, like if everyone's if everyone's platooned, you'll never find a match.
Yeah, I see where there's an issue there. And I can see where a team would have a strong disadvantage against a team that has, even just 2 people tuned up.
Well,
we've all seen it. How many times have you played ranked and you queued on a friend and you're in comms and you get on the same team?
Oh,
it's
massive advantage.
It's usually a dub.
Yeah, massive advantage.
And something that's always confused me is the lack of people that communicate in game chat in ranked.
Oh, that lack is massive.
I would always talk in game chat and could never get anybody to respond. It would out of like 100 matches, I would get like 1. Yeah,
out of 10 matches, you would have 1 match where like 1 person had a headset, and then maybe one out of 100 where 5 people would have a headset.
Yeah, and then usually when they do, they're like, bro,
calling
I'm just
everyone
here for the
retarded,
silver, or they're just there to troll and have fun. You know what I mean? So, I don't know, man. Public, you're going to get into those things, man. A lot of people are going to queue into that game mode just to be there. They don't care.
Well, that's why I was talking about having the rating system where, like the lower end of ranked gameplay is where you have those casual players that are logging in. But then once you start getting higher up inside the ratings, I think that once you pass platinum, you should only be getting teamed up with people past platinum.
I don't think the player base is there for it, man.
Well, it's like he said before, though. If you're, as far as the progression goes, before, if you just played the game, you progressed. You could go to Grandmaster. You didn't have to be good.
Yeah.
all you had to do was be in winning matches. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
I
you know,
I just don't think the player base is big enough.
there's 22,000 players on the NA server.
Yeah, but how many of those are going to be playing ranked at the same day? You're going to be playing ranked at the same time. You feel me?
Well, that's why the ranked gameplay should be active for 2 weeks. Because if it's active for 2 weeks, you know, people are just going to play it casually as well. No, but being able to log in and people are looking for more competitive matches, there's a lot of people out there that are looking for more competitive matches.
I know, I agree, and
I don't
can
know how
see. Well, I was going to say I can see where the devs would be interested in including ranked in public lobbies, because it would alleviate all those issues. My only issue with that is,
It wouldn't change the way the game's played.
right, I don't think it will feel competitive at that point.
No, it wouldn't be.
I think it'll feel like an op or a merc contract that you're working towards.
more like a grind.
Yeah, I think you'll be playing public matches, and you'll treat it just like you would an op or a merc contract. You're just going to go in there and you're going to have a goal and you're going to try to achieve it. But as far as the way the game is played, I don't think it will feel competitive. I think it will just feel like you're playing an op or a merc contract. That's why I've always been okay with the 7v7 mode and the way they were doing it. I was okay with that. The only thing I wasn't okay with was
The extreme
your
meta
personal.
tanks.
Well, that and your personal game didn't really affect how you went up in rank.
Well,
It would keep you from going down.
Yeah, your personal would keep you from going down on the losing team. And then
Right.
on the winning team, if you end up in the top 3, you got additional points. And if you're first place, you got even more additional points.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
there was rewards for that. But other than that, there wasn't many.
Right. So
Right.
I would
But
be
still, in the
okay
end, all
with
you had to
keeping
do
it.
was play.
Right.
And you could
I would
go
be
all the way
okay
up.
with keeping it 7v7, having it the way it was, but allowing your personal game to progress you more than what it was, if that makes sense. So if you take a loss and you've got this great game, you should go up. You shouldn't stay the same. You should go up.
Okay, now
Is there-
there's one more thing that I did read over on Reddit a little while back. And there was something that they were talking about that actually really interested me because it sounded like it would work out heavily. A lot of people like playing their tier 10s. Okay, a lot of people like playing their tier 10s. So why not include ranked gameplay as tier 10s only? When you're playing a tier 10, then you should get the ratings from the tier 10 as well, rather than having, because if they did the public lobbies, I think having it, if you want to do public and you want to do ranked, it should be assigned to a very specific tier and active for 2 weeks and give us contracts to complete while playing in the public lobbies. So then, you know, make it to where tier 10s aren't going to be seeing 9s or 8s over the course of an entire weekend, because tier 10s or over the course of an entire week. And that would also fix one of the issues that a lot of people have about +1, -1, because, you know, you play your tier 8 and you end up in a 10 and you feel like you're at such a massive disadvantage because most tier 10s, each time they buff a tier 10, tier 8 suffer. Every single time a tier 10 gets a buff, a tier 8 suffers. So
do you think? So do you think that if you went to a 15 versus 15, that your queues would be longer? I mean, I've never had a problem with the queues at 7
well, no.
versus 7.
What
just
I'm
wondering.
getting to is that rather than having its own personal selection, make it tier 10. Make tier 10 over the course of like a 2 week period. Never see a 9, never see an 8. Okay,
Always 10s.
always 10s. 10s every single match. Because guess what? It's public matchmaking. If you want to participate in ranked, and guess what? Pull out your 10. You don't even have to go enter a different queue and then have a separate stat at the very end with your rating, if you've gone up or if you've gone down, because that right there would eliminate a lot of the problems that people are having with the +1, -1 that's going on. It would actually add a lot more competitiveness inside tier 10 as well. And then whenever
I
ranked
kinda
is
liked
gone,
the tier 8 ranked when they did that.
well, yeah,
wasn't too
exactly. And then to add the tier 8 as like a separate selection.
I just have doubts that the developers are going to be able to pull something like that off.
Well, with the +1, -1 making tier 10s have their own personal matchmaking, and then having that set as ranked gameplay, whenever you pull out your 10, you are now participating in ranked. You know, for me, I'd find that to be beneficial.
See,
But
it's like Saint said in your chat.
Yeah.
That kind of lays it all out right there. So
Yeah.
he had a grind to get to Grandmaster. Cool. He made it to Grandmaster,
Which
he
is
got
like
the
10
rewards
hours
for
or
it.
12 hours.
Right. That's why I think the previous system was kind of okay, because it wasn't really a grind for me. I would get it pretty quick.
But
you
not
know?
everyone has the time to get on during that weekend whenever ranked is available only for 2 days. You know,
And
that's
tough
why I'm
luck.
saying, yeah.
I think rank should be more often than once a month. But as far as like over the weekend, I'm okay with it, man. 2 days to get it done.
Ranked really 3 days? Isn't it like Saturday, Sunday, Monday until
No.
they set?
No, it's
Well,
after Sunday it's
technically-
closed.
Yeah. So
Like a certain time
I
in
don't
the
even
morning
really
it's shut
know.
down. 3 in the morning.
I don't even really
My
know
time.
if you can call it 48 hours, but it's
No.
close. But yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that. But increase it. Give it to us
For like a
maybe
week.
every weekend. Maybe bring it
But
every
then
weekend.
they would have
but
to
be on
lower
a
the
different tier.
rewards.
Well, yeah, that's fine. I'm good with that. But give it a different tier. Every weekend, different tier.
But then if they're doing that, tier 6,
Or
they're
increase
going to
what
have
you
to...
get to.
Because whenever you play tier 6 ranked, the Absolution's one of the most overpowered tier 6s I've ever seen. Whenever ranked gameplay came up for tier 6, I was pulling out the Thunderbolt, and every single time I saw an Absolution, that's 221 premium APCR pin that the Absolution has. It's going to steamroll you.
Well, I mean, buy an Absolution.
Well, I have one, but the fact that it's making tanks inside ranked meta, I'm not a fan of. That's why whenever they do ranked, they need to look at what tanks are overperforming, what tanks do we need to subtract.
Do either of you know how PC does rank? Do they do that? I'm very unfamiliar
On
with
PC?
it. Yeah.
For World of Tanks console.
No,
They-
how does PC tanks do their rank? Do they have rank?
They do have ranked, and their ranked can go on for like 4 or 5 months.
Interesting.
They have a Gold League, Platinum League, Grandmaster League, Silver, Bronze, Copper, Iron. They have a
they also
massive
have a-
league. And
They
even
also
some
have
of...
a larger player base.
They do have a very larger player base. But if World of Tanks console introduces a more competitive aspect to the game, I find it would actually draw players in rather than push people away. Okay, and
The
for
game's
me,
already on a growth,
yeah, it's already on a growth. That's why if they introduce a more competitive, ranked gameplay, we would actually see a lot of people come in because they like the competitiveness. They like the fact that after a match, they're sitting there, they're holding their remote, and their arms are shaking, because it was a good run.
Yeah, because I don't want them to make it easier.
No.
Because if they make it easier, then I don't feel like I'm really accomplishing
And
anything.
the 7
if I
versus
accomplish it
7s,
now, I feel like I've done something because, like I said, I'm not that great of a player.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't want to. I hear people all the time, oh, they made it too hard. No, get better. And that's the way I look at it. I need to get better. And I'll never be as good as you guys, but I will never stop trying.
Yeah.
See, this is where I've always been. I always will have a different opinion here than a lot of people.
That's
like
why I
Lawrence
like
on
having
your
you
chat.
here.
So,
Okay, because I have my
I just,
opinion, Blade has his, you have yours. And
well,
one of my
for me,
problems...
Well, what I'm saying is, for me, I don't think rank should be restricted to good, bad, whatever. But to try to change rank to only help good play or bad players or just an average player or whatever you want to call it, I don't know, man. I've always been against it.
I agree.
Well, that's why if we did
I-
the public matches, the public tier 10, and then they did tier 10s as, that's where the ranked gameplay is located. That's tier 10s are now locked out from tier 9 and tier 8 matchmaking. Because right there, that would be +1, -1 for tier 8s. And
Yeah,
then
I
you would
mean-
have,
For I think rank could be used as an average player as an avenue to become a better player.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's
I agree.
what I would love to see. I would love to see them make the ranked gameplay to where it's like the rewards that you want to get for the higher tiers. You'd have to invest time and not have a lockout. Okay, and what I mean by a lockout, World of Tanks has a lockout. When you achieve a rank, you cannot drop. Make it to where you can drop. If they do
Yeah,
15 versus
yeah.
15, you need to be able to drop.
But,
you
but
should
the thing
not
is,
stay.
though, they got that set up so that, well, it's kind of like Lawrence was talking about. A player that doesn't do that great, that's going to be really aggravating. You know what I mean? They'll make it to platinum, and then they'll get on this losing streak, and then they'll go back down, and that's going to, if I was in that position,
but
I'd say, screw this, I'm done
Call
with
of
the rank.
Duty does the
And you
same
know what?
thing. And some
Yeah,
days
but-
there's times to get off and times to get on. If you're feeling good,
Yeah, but
if
you
your matches
gotta-
are good, jump on ranked and go at it.
Yeah, but you
And
got to
here's-
remember, Call of Duty has a player base that's in the millions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they can get away with that.
But here's the thing. I feel that as a single player in a game like that, I have no control over whether I'm going to win that game or lose it.
And
I
that's why
really
I've
don't. I
always
mean,
said
I could,
it
like you
needs to
said,
be
you
based
can
on
do
your player.
7,000 damage and lose the match. I mean, we had one the other day where Haven, he killed 5 people by himself, and the rest of us couldn't kill the other 10.
Oh, dude, there was
You
a lot
know?
of ranked games where I would be the only one with kills. I'd kill the whole enemy team.
And
That was
that's
funny
actually
when I just
something
seen
I
on
was
your video,
I was getting
sorry.
ready to mention. With the player base we do have with the 7 versus 7, and I just had a brain fart and it's gone. What was I gonna say? I looked at it too, Blade, and it made me giggle. But with the rank, here it is. There were times that I pulled out, let's say, my mouse, and we ended up on Abby. Okay, and Abby has got positions on that map that the mouse and the VK72, like the VK72, you know what I'm talking about. I played it earlier today, the 11,000 combined.
Yep.
And I've even done this with Bark inside public matchmaking. And by the way, this was the match I got the Radley Walters on the E100. That was a fantastic match. But other than that, though, jumping back over, we had a 2 versus 7 inside the 7 versus 7 ranked with a mouse and a VK. And guess what? We won. We won without a problem because they just couldn't penetrate us because of where we were located. Each time they would fire, turn the turret, take a shot, lock it back in place. If they tried to push up against the mouse, well, there's a VK sitting off to the right side that's now going to put an 850 into your side. There is ways to abuse the 7 versus 7 system. And I've done it multiple times.
When I was in a ranked match, I was in my Pajero 65. It was 13 heavies and my medium. And it was Paparovka. And I went up on that hillside over there and I did 4,000 damage and had 7,200 spotting because I was the only one that had any view range at all. So yeah, there are ways that you can manipulate it because most people play heavies. And if you go in there with a good spotting medium on a map like that, you can make bank, man. I mean,
So I'm going to have to bow out of this here in just a second because I've got to do my thing for the day. But
Yeah.
I do want to say to Scottish in your chat, 100% correct, man. And that's what's led to a lot of issues in this game. Man, when I first started playing this game, we didn't get free tier 10s and free tier 9s, once a month. You know what I mean? If you didn't grind the game grind the tank lines, and work your way up to those high tiers, you did not learn how to play the game. I think that's a lot of the problem with a lot of the newer players today. They've been given tanks at high tiers, or they've just spent gold and converted and skipped lines and all that. You don't learn anything doing that. In this game, that's what has turned it on for me years ago, and it probably is what turned it on for the majority of the player base, the grind for the game. It was a grindy game. Loved it because it was a grindy game. It took years to master and get tanks and yada yada yada. Now it's not really like that. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
now
And I
there's
think
all
that's
these
what
4 times
made-
XP boosters,
Right.
3 times,
I
and
think
then
that's
silver
what made-
boosters.
Well, and I think that's what made this season much more popular than previous seasons. You know, kind of like they were asking about in their stream the other day. Well, it's because the tanks that they give in this season are not OP. They're tier 8s. They're balanced tanks. They're fun to play.
This
tanks,
season, I like
but
this
they're not-
season. I like that they're not
Yes.
giving away a tier 10. Because the 268
They're not
version
OP
5 that they gave
tank.
away, the 268 version
They should-
5 is ridiculously overpowered, in my opinion.
Oh, it's easily, if you play it the right way, the 2685 is easily the best tank in the game right now, and it needs a nerf. I'm so glad.
Compared to PC, we actually have 100 more alpha on our 268 version 5's gun. Along with that, we also have better gun dispersion values than what PC has. And the part that makes me really laugh is the fact that PC, NA, and the European and the American servers don't have access to the 268 version 5. The only server that has access to the 268 version 5 is the Chinese server.
It's a really phenomenal tank. Like, it's fun to play it, don't get me wrong. But man, that thing is good.
Yeah.
So that's what made this season so popular for the original people of the game. It may not be a popular season to new players because they're like, oh, sheesh, I didn't get a free tier 10. Oh, sheesh, I didn't get a free tank that hits for almost 1,000 every, few seconds. But that's what the game needs, man. It needs seasons like this that give you fun tanks, okay? They're fun tanks, but they're not OP tanks. And I would be okay with free tier 10s if they wasn't OP tanks. They were just a fun,
Honestly,
balanced tank.
We talked about regular tanks a while back and mercenary contracts. The way the mercenary contracts are set up, that should be what you need to do in order to get those tier 10 premiums, not pay for them. Because
Yeah, and
honestly,
see, that's another thing.
22,000 gold,
They
that's
should
a
never give
lot
away a
of
tier
money.
9 or tier 10 premium. That should
Well, see,
never happen.
And that's another thing. They're giving away the M60 after 70 days played, okay?
Yeah,
Check
but
us
that's
out.
70 days. I think that's pretty cool. You invest time, log
Yes.
in every single day, and you have a reason to log in every single day.
Yes, I think that's okay, and that's what I was trying to tell
Yeah.
you, Turner. Those kinds of ways to earn a good tier 10, that's cool. That's really cool.
And the
Let
M60
them
is no
earn-
joke.
Right. Let them earn premium tier 10s like that. But don't give them to them for free in a season pass. Just like the 279E. That tank is a really good tank, okay? You had to earn that tank. They didn't have it for sale for a long time. Now they've got it for sale. Don't do that stuff. If you're going to put premium tier 10s in the game, great.
Well,
I think you should.
the
But make it to where you have
279E
to earn it.
Yeah, the 279E, you had to earn it beforehand, and then they just put a paywall behind it.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Because
Like,
beforehand, you
put
had to
premium,
play during the winter, the summer, the fall, and the spring event. You had to play through those events in
shit.
order to get the 279E first.
Right.
But then
Put
each time you
premium
did that,
tier
it was
10s in.
25% discount. And if you completed
Yeah.
all 4, you got it for free.
Put premium tier 10s in the game. Make them good, competitive, premium tier 10s, but make it to where you have to do a whole lot of crap to earn that tank. Don't put it in a season pass that you can finish.
Yeah,
in a
make
week.
it like earning the machine or the chisel.
Look, a
Make it
casual
available
player,
for a few months.
A casual player, somebody that only plays once or twice a week, can complete the season pass in like a week or two of gameplay.
And a
You know what
free
I mean?
tier 10 in a week.
Mhm.
And a free tier 10 waiting for them at the end of it. Don't do that. Make players earn tier 10s over a long period of time. They need to get back to what this game made. That was the biggest key to this game. It was a grind. You know what I mean? You got players that like playing games that are a grind. And that's what this game was focused towards. Now it's focusing more towards, this is easy, you can come play it occasionally and you can compete with the best in the world. Nah, man. Make it a grind again, get back to the grindy stuff. That was awesome. That's why merc contracts are so popular. Yeah, you get rewards for doing the contract, but it was a grind, man. It was a grind to
It
get
was.
some of those merc tanks.
It was a grind.
So it's fun. The people that play World of Tanks like the grind.
Yeah.
Sure,
And,
there's people that
you
are
know,
coming
in
in
the
that
end,
don't
yeah.
like that, and they're
I'm not a
trying
fan of
I hate
the.
to
well, they're
interrupt,
trying to grab the new people.
I got to dip out.
Well, I understand
Yeah,
that they're
I'm
trying to
gonna have
cut
to
new
end
people.
too.
All right. Before we all jump off, because we're gonna also end it entirely. Rather than the 315,000 free experience that you could do, because you could easily pay to get that tank, I think that what they need to do is give it a contract. Make it like a mercenary
Yeah.
contract.
Incorporate
Right.
it in a rank.
Yeah, like give it a ranked result. All right, cool. You reach Grandmaster. Guess what? Here's the object 260.
Yeah, here's the 260. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Make it, put it in a rank. Do something
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, as
that
far
would
as
get more
rank
people to
goes,
play ranked.
to conclude, because I've got to get off and start my thing. I'm going to be a
Nah,
little
you're
behind,
good, man.
but
I'll come
Yeah,
over and do
we're
some
going
crap.
out to
To-
eat. My family's waiting on me, so I got to dip out too.
Okay.
To conclude
just
for your
was
people,
informed, so.
the way I feel about it is two ways. One, because I don't care which way they go. This is just the way I feel. One, make it a 15v15, but don't put it in public lobbies. Give us platoons. And if you want to limit premium, limit premium. If you want to limit certain tanks, limit certain tanks. We'll figure it out as we go. Or two, leave it 7v7, but increase the amount of time
Rewards.
we have ranked each month.
Well, yeah, or increase the rewards. That way, like, if you only can reach platinum, it's like reaching senior. You know, that way, if you can only
Right.
invest 4 hours, then you get the same as you would have inside senior.
Yep, 100% agree.
Okay. Well, it was nice having you here, Noodle, and Blade. Go enjoy your
Yeah.
time out to eat. And everyone else, I will catch you out in the battlefield, and I'm probably going to be jumping on Twitch here in a little while if you guys want to check that out. But beforehand, give Noodleton some love whenever he starts up his stream. I'm also going to be over there too. So you can find him down in the description. Until then, you guys,